Hello all and welcome to another Sunday Q&A, this time brought to you from the bottom end of the barn from me and Steve. Steve, the 6-foot wooden man, who you sometimes see in the background. The kid's up on the table working on the latest interior design project, so I'm down the end. So, which is fine, that's okay. It's very comfortable down here, very nice. So, on to it this week, what have we got to talk about? Another week closer to Christmas, always pleasing. A few things have happened. There's been a video go out. You know, I've got that other channel, the Circuit channel. They've launched one of my latest ones. The 5 things I like the most about being a courier driver. Left hand. I'll do you a link. It might be worth a watch. You know, I kind of would like some comments on it. It's not all about me. You know, well, it's not all about me, it is me. But it's not all about my channel. But just sort of throw you over there. If you do like them, do us a favour. If you hit the subscribe and hit the bell, everyone loves a subscriber. But yeah, I just thought I'd just throw that one out there anyway. So, but this week on this channel, we've been mainly, a lot of it is still coming over from last week. We're talking about backloads, about why should you actually charge less money for a backload when you've got to do the same miles anyway. Yeah, a few comments. Ian Merrick, our man in Scotland, he turns around, he says, backloads are a con. He said, what other industry expects a return trip to work after lunch to be less than the outbound work in the morning? So it's a bit like, you know, if you sort of, you stack the shelves in the morning, we charge you £8 an hour. If you stack the shelves in the afternoon, it's only £4 an hour because it's the afternoon. Doesn't work, does it? He says, do marine freight shippers charge less for shipping loads back from China on their way to China? No. They do it do they do it in air freight? No. Rail freight? No. All it means is your client pays more and all it means is your morning client pays more and ends up substituting your afternoon client. I don't get the backload rate. Fuel, maintenance, insurance, covering journeys, all the same. He said it seems ridiculous to me. If I get asked for a backload rate, my clients get the standard rate. Simples. And I think he's right. I think all the way along, bearing in mind that everything on the CX is kind of backload rate anyway, because the CX is a backload platform. If someone on CX is asking you for a backload rate, they're asking for a backload on a backload. I do also understand. I mean, a job pinged up and earlier on, and I spoke to the shipper and he said, I haven't got the money on it. He said it should go on the pallet network, but it can't because he's got a 10 a.m. booking. So he said, whatever happens, I'm probably going to have to sell this job for less than I'm getting paid for it. Now, I do understand as a shipper, sometimes you're up against it. But then I always think you take the rough with the smooth. You go, well, I've earned money on jobs A, B, C, D, and E. On job F, I'm going to have to lose a little bit. And you kind of have to go across the board. But then on the shipping side of things, I'm pretty new to the game. I'm still sort of, I'm very much like the coalface, like, you know. But going on to other comments, Adney Drum says, read the CX backload category imbroglio. He said, I'm completely Godzilla on this. It's basically sharp practice on the part of shippers. If they can get away with it, quote for a job with what you need. The longer people take the hit, the longer it will continue. I think, again, I've always said also, if you quote the money that you're happy with, quote what you are happy with to do the job for. And if it just so happens that you are picking it up close to where you are and dropping it off across the road from your house, and you think it's going to take me home and it's no big deal to me, and I do really want it, so I don't want to lose it, and you quote cheap, fair play to you. But sometimes, even if that's the case, I'm thinking, yeah, but hang on. If they don't pay me this money, no one else is going to do it. So I'm going to go in big. It's a gamble. The cheaper you get it, theoretically, the more chance you have of getting a job. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you might be the only person quoting, so it doesn't matter whether you quote £1 or £1,000. If they need that stuff moving, they're going to pay you. So, but it's the gamble. You've got to read between the lines. You've got to work it out, like, you know. A Yorkshireman's Daily Grind says, hang on a second. Yeah, sorry, that one's in the next category. And finally, Steve SDD Services says, no chance of any backload. It's time and a half or the key don't turn. Simple. Deb Miles' bankruptcy. Again, don't give the jobs away. If you're doing it too cheap, end of the day, it's your livelihood on the line. So I also did one, as I said, all last week and half of this week, I've been running the lorries as well as running myself. It's been an interesting experience, particularly when I got the phone call to say that I've got a cracking off foot cracking off my windscreen. I had to pull the lorry off the road and get the windscreen sorted while trying to sort my own stuff out, like, you know. But so I did one on how shippers must feel. I did have one particular firm that rang me 12 times in the space of one job. Where is he? Is he here? Is he, Godzilla says in that case, I suspect you got a nutter on the bus, or in this case on the phone. I know certain companies will follow up a call and ask if he's loaded. Look at the app. An ETA. Look at the app. And a quick one asking, how's it going? If I've not got there and dropped, instantly, look at the app. That's what it's there for. It's true, although sometimes the app doesn't update as quickly as you want it to. And I'm sitting there looking at it going, right, it's telling me he's half a mile away from collection. He told me he was half a mile away from collection half an hour ago, and you ring him, you go, where are you? He said, yeah, I'm on a bay. And I'm like, okay, it's not always the fastest, but on the whole, it's pretty good. So I think, a little bit of faith as well. I was speaking to Al about this, and so we get these phone calls saying, are you sure you know what you're doing? It's sometimes kind of like, yes, we do this every day. So, and also Yorkshireman's Daily Grind, he said, sorry, I've flipped over, didn't I? He says, I know it's like I used to run 3 32-ton tippers and drive a hook loader myself. And if I try to keep everyone organised and getting calls from customers all day long, glad I'm out of it. It's painful. It's fine if you get the phone call and they go, have you got a truck for the morning? Yes. I've got a job for it. Okay, fine, send it through. Because if they're regular firms, you know they're going to send it through. You know the price is going to be right. That's fine. What you don't get is I'll call a customer, the magic job. That's always there, Or if you're going to get grief, then it just becomes complicated. You can't do it. It's a danger. So I'm very pleased they're back off holiday. They had a nice time. Pleased they had a good break. They're back. Also, this week, jobs on the periphery. Domain name guy says, this is where you take jobs. I've had this a lot recently. Today I went to Grays, dropped off. I ended up, that was the only job I did today, but I had other stuff to do. Everything's London, either in and out of London. It puts me into the zone. Every time I drive past the camera, it's 100 quid. It makes me uncompetitive. Having said that, I'm going to Bermondsey on Tuesday. They're paying the zone charge as well. They're paying me very good money because it's Bermondsey and not everybody wants to do it. I don't mind so much. It's not far from the Elephant. I used to go there all the time in a truck. So, domain name guy says, he says, on the jobs in the periphery, this is kind of about tramping and ways around it. He says, driving a van is ideal for a single person that wants to see and enjoy travelling through the UK and doesn't mind sleeping in the van. For example, if a normal person gets a job on the CX, picks up a pallet and delivers the pallet, etc., they need to lose money getting back home on the same day. But if a driver on the CX doesn't need to get home the same day and weekends and stuff. You can spend the weekends at the coast. You could drive. You wait for the right job that pays more money, and it proves more profitable because there's 0 miles travelled. There is a very big argument for tramping, and yeah, if you're young and if you're single and you want to see the world, it's not a bad way of doing it. Also, domain name guy's got his own stuff out there. He's doing kind of shorts on how to make money on the stock market when you're looking on your phone and stuff like that. I haven't had a lot of chance to catch up on it. I presume the reason you do it on the phone that way rather than that way because that works with the shorts, but if you're going to do the long ones, turn it that way. Landscape's better. But so check him out. He's out there, he's doing the thing. Also, because I said on areas you don't want to go into, because I said Lincoln's not always the greatest. Godzilla says, he said, oddly, I've had 2 jobs from Lincoln the last 2 weeks. Pulled a run out of a place at almost instantly both times. Playing with a desktop, put in what's listed today and including sold to see there's nothing coming up. He said, I just seem to be getting lucky. Having said that, I didn't bother with the skeggy job today, spam past it, no point, no airport, can't think of a single thing to make there, so it was unlikely I'll be getting anything out there. If you got lucky, you can do. It has happened before. I've been in Lincoln before and then suddenly a job pings up 10 miles away and it was 5 or 6 pallets moving over to Slough. And you think, oh, brilliant. Also, Jim Allen says, he says Lincoln's been very good for me both in and out. One bonus of a periphery job, and I think this is a fair point he makes, is if a return does appear, and you usually have little to no competition in the area, so you can bag a decent rate. Agree with the explanation, though, Pete. Yeah, Al happened to Al once. I said before, he was in kind of Skegness, and a job came up from Skegness to Bedford. It was small van. It was back in the day. He quoted him 110 a mile. He said, I'm in a Luton. It's going to cost you 110 a mile. Because of of the extra expenses. He said, but you've got to decide quickly because if you don't, I'm leaving. I'm going to be out of here in 10 minutes. And the bloke said, look, I'm going to have to take it. I need to move the load and nothing else is going that way. So he got 110 a mile for moving an envelope. And that was back in the day. They seem to be getting more now. But on the whole, I still think you're better off not going to periphery. I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding the jobs aren't really the quantity of job for this time of year is surprising me. And I thought, like I say, today is a Friday afternoon on the exchange. Wasn't there was a few jobs on there, but nothing. They were going to Glasgow or Edinburgh or Bristol. I didn't really want to go to Bristol or into the zone. Can't really go into the zone, so I pulled it. Don't know how you're finding it. I'm finding that with the less jobs, I tend to not want to go to the periphery areas and try to be a little bit keener. Well, not so much keener, just try to be on it a bit more. Right, so we got a quick one from the Wise Guys here. On the Wise Guys. Now, we're discussing with the weights and measures, whether you can take it to a weighbridge or not if you think you're overloaded. And there's been a debate between two guys, between Godzilla and the Urban Trucker. I would just like to say, I don't know what the answer is. I would say, firstly, that I value both your opinions. You brought an awful lot of knowledge to the channel, and it's truly appreciated. And I think ultimately, when it comes down to the weight thing, I don't know quite how it works out. I dare say I could Google it and I could ring the ministry and I'll probably get 3 different answers from 3 different people in the same department. What I believe is, if you think your van is overloaded, the best thing you can do is say take it off. Don't move it. Just tell me, I'm looking at the springs, that's too heavy. I'm going to ring the shipper, I ain't going. I think erring in the side of caution, if you don't move it on a public carriageway, they can't get you. The shipper might not be happy about it, but surely that's got to be better than facing a fine or facing, infringements or all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, we've got to be clever about it. And you can tell, I think once some guy put 2 pallets on my Luton of liquid. They were like metre square pallets. And I went, how much does this weigh, mate? And he went, I don't know. And I'm thinking, no, I don't know either, but I've got a pretty rough idea. 1 metre square pallet of liquid's a tonne. That's got to be 2 tonne. I went, no, 1, it's coming off. So that's what you got to do. But mate, I say, I do appreciate both your support as Godzilla's and also Urban Trucker has said, because about the advert in the newspaper. If you're applying for an advert in a newspaper for your operator's licence, the guy said, one of the guys asked the question, can we use any local newspaper? And I said, well, I don't know. You want to contact them. You don't want to put the advert in the wrong newspaper, because the advert can be anything between £180 £300. You don't want to do the money. Urban Trucker once again has come to the rescue. He says, you can't advertise in any newspaper for the operator centre. I believe the newspaper has to have a 5% readership in the area you're applying. He said, I would recommend that people check this before putting the advert in. Yeah, double check the wording, definitely double check the working to make sure it's correct. What they tend to do is they tend to have something on their site, and they give you the wording, and all you need to fill in is the appropriate things, but make sure you fill it in properly. Don't make a spelling mistake. Don't write Van Gogh Transport rather than Van Gogh Transport, because when the thing comes back to them and say, no, this isn't right, you've got to do it again. It's going to cost you the same money for an advert again. He said, because otherwise it'll be rejected. He said, personally, I recommend a company called Legal Ads, which will sort out the best newspaper, the right readership, and have a template on their website that's approved. My advertising cost is about 75 plus VAT with them. I heard some right horror stories, people saying they paid as much as £800 to put their advert in. I think I did try the Legal Ads thing, and the guy came back to me with more money than it was if I posted it directly. But certainly try it out. Get quotes from both and see which one's best from you. So that's a company called Legal Ads. If you think of putting your operator's licence in, give them a try. Do your research. It's not that hard. I didn't get a company to do mine. I did it myself. I made a couple of schoolboy errors, which I've listed. But do your research. You will get there. It's just a matter of time, Right, quick one on trucks before we're moving on to miscellaneous. Christian Gray says, hi Pete, he says, what is your minimum turnover per day? Around £400 in 7.5 tonne. He said, asking because I'm hoping to set up one day. Cheers. I aim for £400 a day. That's my target for the day. Some days I don't get it. Today I didn't get it. Today I got 250. I picked up in Sandy, drove to Grays, drove home. Sat around for a little while, waiting for something to come up. I could have tried harder, but it was a Friday afternoon and I'd overhit my target for the week, and I've got other stuff to do. I've got to do this. It's got to be done. I've got to do Christmas decorations tomorrow. Time, But yeah, on the whole, and that's relatively easy attainable. Normally, my target for the week, for the day, is £400. I really want 5. But then you've got to bear in mind, like I said, you've got to take your extras out of that, your fuel, your wear and tear, your mechanics, your inspections, your parking. It sounds much nicer than it is. I'm not trying to brag out how much money I'm making, because it's when you jump through all the hoops for the trucks, it's kind of what people expect to pay because it's kind of what it's worth, like, you know. And for what people are getting in small vans and Luton vans, am I making that much more? Probably not at the moment, but I do like my trucks. So you do you. So, miscellaneous. Alan Bray says, cheers Pete, how are the comments going to work now you're on different platforms? You can't go back and read the comments that someone could have commented on a different platform. Also, are you not making less money because you're getting less views from each platform? Thanks very much. Keep up the good work. Still waiting for a video. Why is a Luton better than a long wheelbase? Did I promise that? I don't remember that. I'll have to write that one down in the book. It's not so much about the money to me, Alan, I'll be honest with you. It was just a matter of getting it out to people. And if I put it out on the podcast thing, I kind of figure that people can listen to it when they're driving. As for getting to me, I've said this before and I will say it again, please leave the comment somewhere after a YouTube video, then I'll see it. Don't send me a message, don't send me an email. That I did a video today about well, this is Sunday, so it's 2 days ago, about the fact that my videos are being used at some university in America about speaking Cockney. I saw it by accident. It went in my junk email folder. The odds of me getting that were like 100 to 1. So if you're sending me an email, if you're leaving me a Facebook message, if you're sending me a normal message and I'm not getting back to you and going, I'll send him a message and get back to me, this is why I don't see them. You've got to bear in mind, I drive for a living. So I'm not driving down while checking, I'm not sitting in front of a computer checking my computer to see who's emailed me, who's messaged me. What I do is when I get to the end of the week, like Friday, I go to the videos on YouTube, I trawl through the comments, I see what questions are out there, and I do my best to answer them. So if you want to get to me by the YouTube comments. Otherwise, it just, otherwise, I apologise if you sent me any messages in the past and I haven't got back to you. I never saw it. Right. No Name says, yeah, it's quite interesting, actually. Hang on a second. It's interesting hearing your discussion between the proportion of jobs that you are winning for the equilibrium between too cheap and too expensive. You suggested you should be winning 75% of bids or 50 at a stretch. HRC Big Beardy recently suggested he wins 1 in 5, 20% of the bids. That's quite a different approach from you both. You're right. And neither of us are right on that scenario. Let's go to the door. Yeah. He might have the right plan. Hang on a second. Yeah, sorry about that. Amazon delivery drivers. Gotta love them. Christmas is coming. Not that makes any difference in this house. Yeah. So I suppose the dilemma is it better to wait for the right job, or is it better to bid good money and get the good money on the jobs and just do the jobs you want to do, or is it better to sort of take the job, get running? It's all just a matter of personal preference. My fear was that I'd bid, and if you bid high, then it wouldn't come in, bid high, and I'm starting to look at my watch now, it's 9, 10, then the jobs start to disappear, and I'm thinking, I could go for the whole day here and not go to work. So I found a system that worked for me, where I was bringing in the money that I was happy with. I was out there, I was doing it, I was working, I was happy. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm saying it worked for me. You guys have to find a system that works for you. And if you find that the Big Beardy system is actually better for you, that if you quote higher and you only get 20% of the jobs, but at the end of the day, when you do your breakdown, you go, yeah, okay, well, I haven't worked as hard, but I've done less diesel, I've done less work, and you know what? I think I've actually earned more money. Go with that. You do you. I've never said to anybody, this is the way to do it. I'm just telling people this is the way that I did it, and it worked for me. You do you. Van on a Run says, he said, I'm probably in between 1 in 5 and 1 in 10 in busy areas at the moment. If I won every other job, I'll be selling myself too cheap. So he's gone the Big Beardy way. Maybe I do. I mean, some of the, I said about a small van that maybe you've been 60, 65p, and a lot of you have come back and said, no, it's too cheap. You bet £1 a mile because you need £1 a mile. Absolutely fine. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. And I'm happy to pass that one on. You do you. Van on the Run also says on the Delmate things, he's using it. He says Delmate is a bargain. If doing a lot of delivery points, and especially if you're doing different areas, if doing light haulage like me, it's worth having for £40 a year. Well, £40 a year ain't too dear, is it really? I mean, was that break down to about $350 a month? So what's that? 10p a day? It's not dear, is it? Like, you know, so he says, I find it particularly good for residential addresses, but less reliable in finding business addresses, particularly businesses on industrial estates. I wish people would give some context when they state pence per loaded mile, length of the job has a big effect on it. It's like I got £8 a mile for a long wheelbase job recently, £40 minimum charge for a 5 mile job. But yeah, well, you've got to bear in mind there's a time aspect in that as well. Like, you know, I wouldn't get that rate for a 200-mile job. IMO, the common quotes for the CX rates are like £1 a mile for a long wheelbase is about right for a 100-mile job. P.S. I sadly can't listen to. He said I can't listen to your podcast while driving because it's too quiet. The Paddy Power ad before it was loud enough. Not sure if you can turn the volume up a bit. I don't know. I've only just started doing the thing. I didn't even know it had adverts before it, so that's nothing to do with me. If you can adjust it, if anyone else has got problems with the volume, give me a shout. And what I'll do is I'll email them or I'll get in touch with them and go, apparently your podcast is a bit quiet. Can you turn the volume up, please? Or I might be able to change the volume up a bit when I upload it. Maybe try that. Let me know if my podcast is quiet. I'll do something about it. Mr. Bruce says, at distribution centres where you hand your keys in and stay in a cab waiting, I found the best, you know, because it gets freezing cold in the cab, I found the best way is to carry a spare key in my hand. And that, of course, makes sure the key is off. So basically take the key off and I have more than one key. Just don't get caught. So presumably, if you decide to turn the engine on, you're sitting there with the engine running, someone's going to go, how is your engine running? I did hear one interesting story about Lewis's one, where a guy at a distribution centre, I'd say for the sake of argument, he'd driven from Liverpool to London at the distribution centre, couldn't be bothered to hand his keys in, so he didn't want to hand his keys in, so he handed the keys to his car in instead of the key, you know, the key ring to his car or the key ring to the van. Got his paperwork, drove all the way back to Liverpool, went to get in his car and realised he'd left his car keys back in London. Oh dear. I just do as I'm told. They want the keys, they can have the keys. I've got a night heater, so it's not in the world. Can't listen to the radio, but I've got that pad thing now. All right to make videos. Or, you know, plenty of things to do on a bay. Do a video about that one day. Right, also I want to draw attention a bit to the COVID thing here. Barry Smith says, just to remind everyone COVID is out there. He said, I went out on the 1st of December into London to pick up a job in Uxbridge in the congestion zone and got stuck with a double pallet that they wouldn't have had returned to Uxbridge for something, you know. Not a good day. He said, went home feeling very ill. He says he's got the symptoms now. He said, I've had all the jabs plus, and they probably saved my life, but I am in pain, and having it's losing him 2 weeks and a month before Christmas, and he probably won't be getting back to work till January. Yeah, we've all got to do the thing, haven't we? And Lisa Mead says, he said, do you have to have a COVID jab to work on CX? I've heard that some sites insist on it. I've not actually had a site that's insisted on it. The only one so far has been the NEC, which I had to do the other day, where you had to prove that you didn't have it, which of course I can prove I didn't have it. I did one of them test things and it came up negative. That's fine. We're back on the mask thing now, aren't we? Because we're having a party have told us that we've got to be back in the mask things, which is fine because, you know, we have to do it all. They don't. That's fine because that's number 10. And the number 10 isn't actually part of England, which is why I think it's the Houses of Parliament is the only building in the entire country where you're actually allowed to smoke in it. Because that's all right. They can do that. They can smoke, but we aren't allowed to smoke in public places. Not I smoke anymore. My wife smokes. I don't smoke. But that's fine because they can do whatever they like. But we have to. But we do, having said that, have a moral responsibility to our fellow mankind. So it's masks again. It's social distancing again. Just have to wait for this thing to blow over. I just hope it does. I mean, they say that this Omicron variant, which I believe is something out of RoboCop, is actually not quite as scary as the other bits, but a little bit of consideration to man, man doesn't go amiss, does it really? So, and finally, in conclusion, this week, Steve Campbell says, because I met Steve. How you doing, Steve? You all right, mate? I hope you've done all right at, was it Peterlee or what's his name, police station? I hope he's all right. He says, I got a chance to read your first book when I was in the police station, which is hang on to that thought, as Christmas is coming. I have just got into part 2. I thought I had problems. And he also said, what's wrong with being a guest on the Jeremy Kyle show? Because I think I mentioned that in the book. Only kidding. I've been on the Jeremy Kyle show twice in 2008. They even featured on the best bits of 2008 show. The show's now been removed for legal reasons. You don't say. There you go, Steve. And finally, I did that video, which I've only just done, so any comments on that will probably come up last week, about the fact they're now using my videos to educate Americans to Cockney, which is interesting. Philip Jeffrey says, Dustin Hoffman in Papillon, more like Ronnie Barker in Clarence. Yeah, you're probably right. It's been a long time since I saw Papillon, and I imagine Dustin Hoffman was considerably younger and probably had considerably more hair. But on that note, it's a good night from me. Take care. Take money.